From Studio 1Z, with the latest news, commentary, and weather, it's the KZRG Morning News Watch on Newstalk, KZRG.
It's FM 102.9, 105.9, AM 1310, and on your smart speaker, it is Newstalk, KZRG. Ted Bojorquez and Steve Scott. And joining us this morning is David Wasinger, who is running for Lieutenant Governor of Missouri. David, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Ted. I appreciate you having me and allowing me to share with your listeners and you about how I'm the only outsider running to shake things up in Jefferson City as the social, fiscal, America First conservative running for Lieutenant Governor. So I appreciate your having me on.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure, David. And I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, for those of us that don't know or are unfamiliar with your history, who you are, where you're from, can you give us a little bit of a background on who you are and your platform and why you're running?
Absolutely. I'm an outsider. I'm not a career politician. I'm not happy with the things taking place in Jefferson City or Washington, D.C., and I'm running to shake things up. What I want to do, Ted, is I'm a small-town guy. I was born and raised in Hannibal, Missouri. Grew up in a middle-class family, carried a newspaper, Hannibal Courier-Post, from the time I think I was 8 years old. Worked at Hardee's restaurant flipping burgers and making French fries, and our family had a farm outside town, so I worked our family farm quite a bit when I was younger. So I intend on bringing my small-town values of faith, family, and hard work from Hannibal to the office. And after graduating from Hannibal High School, I went on to University of Missouri, and I majored in accounting and then passed the CPA exam. Then I went on to Vanderbilt Law School, and shortly thereafter met my wife, who is also a lifelong Missourian. She's from St. Louis, where we currently live, and I've owned and managed my own business for over the last 20 years.
Nice. It's David Wasinger, running for Lieutenant Governor here on Newstalk KZRG. Now, David, you know, I find that the big struggle is the balance between a functioning government while also keeping it, you know, fairly limited. And I know that you're fairly vocal about limiting government and cutting bureaucracy. And so can you give me a couple of examples of, if elected, where you would want to limit government and cut bureaucracy?
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't need to look any further than the last 2 weeks over in Jefferson City. It was an abomination the way our state budget was prepared, and we have now doubled our budget in the last 10 years in the state of Missouri, from about a little over $25 million to now over $50 million, or $50 billion. I'm sorry, $25 billion to $50 billion. And if you can find me a Missourian that can tell they got twice as much money from their government over the last 10 years, I'll buy them a cup of coffee. And make things worse, even the Governor Parson just came out yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, but he came out in the budget process. He was not happy with the budget process either. And he said, frankly, it was just it's a political budget. And he's going to take a line item and go through each line item. I bet he finds billions of dollars. He's able to line item out. And what happened is they did not go to conference committee. They just had a couple of state legislators hole up in a room, prepare a $50-some billion budget, probably filled with pork-laden special interest and insider deals. And I think Governor Parson is not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. And we need to change things the way things are happening in Jefferson City. And again, I'm David Wasinger, and I plan on running as an outsider to shake things up in Jefferson City.
It's David Wasinger, running for Lieutenant Governor of Missouri here on Newstalk KZRG. You know, David, the Lieutenant Governor serves on a lot of boards. Just to name a few here, they serve on the Board of Fund Commissioners, the Board of Public Buildings, Missouri Development Finance Board, the Housing Development Commission, so on and so forth. Now, realistically, you can't be everywhere at once. So, of all the areas in which the Lieutenant Governor has responsibility to serve on, what issues and what areas do you foresee yourself spending the most of your time as Lieutenant Governor?
Well, as Lieutenant Governor, I think it serves as a great platform. And one thing I'm going to do is it's a great bully pulpit. And one of my high priorities is use that bully pulpit to expose the corruption and insider deals, for example, that took place over the last couple of weeks that I've just outlined. And also, you correctly point out, lieutenant governor serves a lot of roles. One is advocate for veterans, and I intend on serving in office. We're not going to spend more on illegal aliens than we do on our great veterans. And along those same lines, you mentioned lieutenant governor is in charge of tourism. And, folks throughout the state realize, whether it's in Joplin, whether it's in Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, crime is out of control. And when people are scared to go to a St. Louis Cardinal baseball game, it affects tourism. So we have to get this illegal immigration and this crime under control. So I intend on calling, again, for federal troops at the border, these drug cartels that are running rampant. I intend on declaring them as what they are, and that's terrorists. And we need to start deporting these gangs and criminals to make Missouri safe, and so we can promote tourism where folks from out of the state are afraid to come into our great state.
It's David Wasinger running for Missouri Lieutenant Governor here on Newstalk KZRG. David, there's been a number of reports coming out nationally that are showing that Missouri's economy is in a really fairly decent condition right now, especially considering everything going on. And it's becoming increasingly more attractive as a location for businesses. As Lieutenant Governor, what would you do to wield your powers to make Missouri a premier destination for businesses and, by extension, economic growth?
Well, you may be reading different stories than I am, Ted, because if you go to a St. Louis Cardinal baseball game, there was a huge article in the Wall Street Journal where downtown St. Louis has become the epicenter of urban decay and crime. So until we get this crime under control, where people and businesses feel safe to walk around, whether it's downtown St. Louis, downtown Kansas City, Joplin, we have to get this crime out under control. And once we have that done, we need to look at our tax structure. We need to, if you look at Tennessee, Texas, Florida, we need to evaluate our tax structure, income tax, personal property tax. So once we get the crime under control where people feel safe, we need to address our tax issues and find out why people are voting with their feet by moving to Tennessee, Florida, Texas. You look at the population growth of those states compared to Missouri, and you go down to Florida, things are booming down in Florida. And a lot of that has to do with the, number one, they probably feel safer, and number two, I think the tax structure is far more favorable to folks in Florida and Tennessee and Texas than it is in Missouri.
Yeah, and Florida also has some pretty nice beaches, so that's always a plus for them.
That's true, but it's hot in the summer, so I enjoy Missouri weather. January, February gets a little chilly up here, but Missouri weather I think is all good.
That's true. It's a give and take, isn't it? It's David Wasinger running for Missouri Lieutenant Governor here on Newstalk KZRG. David, we're pushing up against the clock here, but for those listening, give us one final elevator pitch, so to speak, as to why you are the choice for Lieutenant Governor for Missouri.
Ted, I am the only America First, authentic, social, fiscal, constitutional conservative running for Lieutenant Governor, and I will make note that Missouri Right to Life, which is the preeminent organization in Missouri that analyzed candidates, I have received the sole and exclusive endorsement of Missouri Right to Life to be Missouri's next Lieutenant Governor. So I'm honored and humbled to receive that endorsement. So if people look through this as Missouri Right to Life did, they'll recognize I am truly an outsider running to shake things up. I'm the social, fiscal, constitutional, America First conservative running for Lieutenant Governor. My website is davidwasinger.com. One S in Wasinger. It's not as hard to spell as your name, but my DavidWasinger.com. davidwasinger.com. People can look about our platform and find out more about me on the website.
It's David Wasinger running for Missouri Lieutenant Governor here on Newstalk KZRG. David, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Dad. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
As do you, sir. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
It's Newstalk KZRG.